Hey guys, this is Justin at The Survivor Review, and today we're talking about the newest film in the DC Extended Universe, Aquaman. Now there's some big movies out that I should be doing reviews of that I just haven't gotten around to, but this one I really want to talk about because this is the one series I've really been consistent on with the DC movies. I reviewed every previous one. Also, like I've mentioned in those videos hundreds of times, I love the DC universe, not the movie universe, not that, but the comics in general. I've always had a lot of affection for DC, so I always do like talking about these movies, even though they end up most of the time being very disappointing. Also, as you can see, Sam is not going to be in this video with me. He didn't see the movie. He's kind of wiping his hands clean of comic book movies. If you've seen the recent comic book movie reviews I've done with him, you can tell he's, not too big on these anymore, and especially after Justice League, he's like, you know what? I'm good. So like I said, the DC movies haven't had the best track record. 1 out of 5 before Aquaman. Not the best sign. But you know what? Aquaman, I really enjoyed it. So currently for me, they're 2 for 6, which still not the best thing, but you know what? I had a ton of fun with this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not great, it has its issues, definitely has problems, not a perfect movie by any means, but it's just a great, crazy, fun adventure. This movie doesn't try to have as many themes or anything like that compared to something like Wonder Woman. This one's just a flat-out adventure movie. It doesn't try to be too much more than that. So it's a very different movie from Wonder Woman. This one's just a bonkers, crazy movie, and that's the best thing about this movie is that they just go for it. They're just like, yeah, this is a movie about a guy who can talk to fish. Let's just embrace it. And they did, and I love that. Like, compared to the previous DC movies that are all dark and almost scared to embrace the material, this one just flat out goes for it. It's bright, it's colorful, it's vibrant, it looks amazing, it looks beautiful. There's humor in here. To be honest, most of it kind of falls flat. A lot of the jokes in the movie really don't work, but it's so lighthearted. It's not the most groundbreaking story. You've seen this one hundreds of times. There's nothing unique about the story, but it's everything else around it that's unique and fresh and exciting, and that's what I really liked. The plot of this movie basically involves, Arthur Curry, Aquaman, who we saw in Justice League, living his life on the land, just minding his own business, not really giving a crap about anything, but when his half-brother, Orm, wants to basically start a war with the surface, he has to go down there and fight him, basically become the true king of Atlantis. So like I said, not the most groundbreaking story. Half the movie is about him, everyone telling him oh, you're destined for great things, and he's like, no, I'm not, and then it's not really a spoiler, but at the end, guess what? He is, Very typical stuff, but there's a lot of things that really works for this movie. The cast is fantastic. Jason Momoa really is starting to sell me, as this character. Clearly when he was first announced, when they first revealed that picture of him, a few years back, everyone just groaned, they're like, oh my god, they're trying to make Aquaman cool. They're trying to make him edgy, and badass.
Ride ain't over yet.
My man.
And there's still a couple moments like that in this movie where Jason Momoa was trying to be the edgy kind of biker cool character.
That was awesome.
But to be honest, there's not much of that. And by the end of the movie, which this isn't a spoiler, though it should be, this should have been a reveal in the movie, he gets the orange suit at the end. So he's running around in that really silly bright orange and green suit. And you know what? By the end of the movie, you buy it. You're not laughing at it. You're like, okay, I'm in. It's like the director, James Wan, was like, yeah, screw Zack Snyder and all that dark and gritty stuff. This is Aquaman. And what really works is just the fact that Jason Momoa is so just charming in this movie. He has such really great charisma that you buy it and you're just like, oh yeah, he's great. I thought he was alright in Justice League, but he really didn't have anything to do in Justice League, so it's really hard to get a good grasp on his character. But this one just, sets him loose. And so now I really have a good feeling of this character, and I really like him. And the rest of the cast is really good. Amber Heard as Mira is pretty good. I really liked Patrick Wilson as Orm. I've always liked Patrick Wilson as an actor. I always thought he was really good as an actor, just in general, ever since I saw him in Watchmen. He's a really good actor, and I liked him as a villain. He was really good. You can clearly see his motivations. You can understand where he was coming from and what he was trying to do, and I really didn't like that. He was really entertaining. The best thing, though, one of the things I just love about this movie is that Dolph Lundgren is in it. Which is so crazy to be watching a big budget blockbuster movie in 2018 that has Dolph Lundgren in it, and he's a main character too. Like when I first heard he was gonna be in it, I'm like, oh, so he's gonna like appear in a couple scenes and then just like die and we're gonna forget about it. I'm like, oh yeah, Dolph Lundgren, isn't that cool? But no, he's an essential character that is throughout the entire film. And I love that. And the fact that we just saw him like a month ago in Creed 2, man, I really hope this leads to a Dolph Lundgren resurgence and he starts appearing in more big budget mainstream movies. I would just love that. Like how like Michael Keaton came back after Birdman. This is what I want, and I want Dolph Lundgren to come back and be a main like actor in big movies. But yeah, I love that they put him in there, and he was good. He was a lot of fun, and I like seeing him in there. The effects in this movie are wonderful. There's some dodgy ones here and there. It's not 100% perfect. Some stuff looks great, some stuff looks, eh. There's some CGI de-aging in the beginning of the movie that didn't work, looked very plasticky, looked really kind of fake. Wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but wasn't very effective. For the most part, like, the movie looks beautiful. Like, the environments, like Atlantis, looks beautiful, looks amazing, bright, colorful, not dark and grungy like the last few movies have been. And all the underwater stuff just looked incredible. Like the way people's hair moved where it looked like they were underwater. Like it was so well handled, so well done, and it looked incredible. And compared to like the previous DC movies that always have like overly CGI scenes, especially climaxes, they're just like overly CGI, overly green screen. What makes this work over those is the fact that it's a unique environment. It's a different place. It's something really crazy. It's something you haven't seen before. Compared to like Justice League, which in general, the CGI in that movie just looked awful just to begin with. But the fact that like that whole climax took place in just like Russia, but it was all red. It's like it just felt like the actors were running around on a green screen because that's what it was, whereas this one is trying to simulate like water in the ocean, so it feels like a unique environment and you're able to buy it and it sells you more. That's another thing, like the CGI always looks kind of murky and everything, like the climax of Wonder Woman, where those very murky, kind of dark at nights. And this one, all the CGI environments are bright. Like I said, like it's a unique, bright environment, and that's what like makes all the CGI environment stuff in this movie work better than the previous DC movies. And even though it has some really great looking special effects, it is, you know, super CGI heavy, which this kind of movie had to be. There's like, you know, no going around that. But there were certain scenes where it gets so CGI heavy that I just kind of checked out. I'm not gonna lie, there's a few moments throughout the movie where it just got so like bombarded with CGI images flying around that I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I spaced out, started thinking about something else. And then when the scene ended, I got back into the movie. So there's moments like that just don't quite work. There's some weird stuff. There's this surprise attack kind of like jump scare thing in the movie where it's just a quiet scene and then explosion. And there's like, it happens like 3-4 times in the movie. Like it's like constantly used, becomes like a cliche in this movie. And I was kind of surprised that they kept doing that over and over. And James Wan was a really great director, so I didn't think he would reuse that trope over and over. But he did, and it got very funny every time it happened. And this movie, it is a little long. It's a little bloated. I felt it could have been trimmed a little bit. It didn't need to go on for as long as it did. I felt some of the action sequences could have possibly be trimmed a little bit. There's one action scene earlier on in the movie between Orm and Aquaman that I felt like, I understand why plot-wise it was there, but it just didn't really feel like, I don't know, like watching it, it was just like they had helmets on so you couldn't really tell who was who, and it was a lot of CGI just like flying around, and I was like, I don't really feel the need for this action sequence. Like, I get why it's there, but I don't know, I mean, you could have done something else so you weren't just watching another crazy CGI action sequence. But yeah, I feel like the movie had a lot going on, a little too much. You know, the character of Black Manta is in the movie is kind of a secondary villain, and he's mostly there to set up a sequel, really. And he has a very small part, and it's kind of very cheesy, very kind of silly. He was okay. I thought he looked cool, like his very comic accurate suit, which I liked, and he was fun in the major action sequence that he got, but for the most part, it was kind of eh. And the music was very hit or miss in this movie. First off, there's some really awkward song choices in here that don't work, especially one major one when they get to the desert. That's just like, why would you choose that? That was terrible. And also the score for the movie I thought was like I said, hit or miss. There's some times where the score is really good, actually. There's some moments that I really enjoyed. I know, like the one chase scene throughout Atlantis, I thought the music was really fantastic in there. But there's other times where the score just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't really, I don't know, it didn't work for me. And like I mentioned earlier, this movie is just bonkers. Like, it just goes for it. This feels like the first time the DC movies really just kind of like embraced the material and didn't like hold back and didn't feel like embarrassed by their material. And I love that. And you need that kind of stuff for Aquaman, you know? For an Aquaman movie, you need to be able to go crazy. You need to be able to go ridiculous. And that's what this movie feels like, just like an old school style adventure. Like, there's even the middle half of the movie even feels like Indiana Jones at times because they're like on a mission to retrieve an artifact, basically. And I really like that stuff. I just like the adventure feel of this movie. I thought it was really well done. The action scenes were really well shot, really well handled, really exciting. It's a very loud movie. Like, I feel like when Patrick Wilson signed on to this movie, he was just like, so what do I do in this movie? And James Wan was just like, just yell a lot, because his character yelled so much. There's a lot of really cheesy dialogue in here, like, call me Ocean Master, call me Black Manta. That stuff doesn't quite work. That's the kind of vibe that this movie is going for. Just this big, crazy, wild adventure. Definitely see it in IMAX if you can, because this movie utilizes the expanded ratio. For most of the movie, the screen expands for a lot of stuff. Basically everything underwater is in the IMAX ratio, and it looked beautiful. It looked incredible. And yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm really glad I liked it because I want to like the DC movies so bad. And they make it really hard to. Like, Wonder Woman was fantastic. And now Aquaman is fantastic. Now they got two of them, and I'm really happy. Like I said, not a perfect movie. It definitely has its issues. Unoriginal story, bloated runtime. It's like 2 hours and 25 minutes, and it didn't really need to be. Kind of excessive CGI at points. CGI that just kind of got a little mind-numbing at times. Very, very sensory overload at times, if you know what I mean. A lot of stuff like that where it's just like, oh, okay, that's a lot happening right now. I gotta just sit this back. Like, basically the climax of this movie is a Lord of the Rings style battle, but underwater with a bunch of different sea creatures. It's a lot to take in. But overall, it's a lot of fun, very entertaining, visually stunning. I love the look of it. Like I said, just the visuals are some of the best part of the movie. Good performances. Like, I'm sold on Jason Momoa as Aquaman now. And yeah, just really awesome movie, and I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they pulled this off. Although, just saying, if I have to guess Sam's opinion on this movie, because this is what I was thinking about while watching it, I was like, what would he think of this? Would he like it? And when I saw the climax, and you have like Aquaman and Orm are fighting each other against this big CGI, background while all these CGI wars going on, I was just like, yeah, no, he would probably hate this. So I don't think Sam would be a fan of this one. But you know what? I like it. It's a really fun adventure. Not the greatest movie in the world, but definitely entertaining. So yeah, that's Aquaman. I don't think I'm going to do a spoiler video for this, just because I feel like there's not a whole lot of real spoiler points to get into. I know I've done spoiler videos for all the other DC movies, but thinking back on this one, there's nothing too crazy to get into. There wasn't really any surprises plot-wise. Like I said, the plot was very standard, so there's like no real twists, nothing really like that. Just kind of, simple movie, so I don't really know anything that I really get into spoiler-wise, so don't think that's going to happen. I have a lot more of the videos that I want to do, including reviews for some newer movies that came out that I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping I get around to them. So we'll see. I have a lot of stuff that I want to do coming soon. So yeah, that's about it for now. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.